Izzosews, my name's Sarah. Thanks for joining me today. Now, the other day, I decided to continue my task of getting a bit more on top of my sewing organisation. So I've been using the Stash Hub app to log all of my fabric stash, which I was very behind on doing. And when that was over, I decided that I wanted to log all of my pattern stash as well. And in doing so, I realised not only that I had lots of patterns that I hadn't made, but I also have patterns from pattern companies who I have never sewn up before. And it sort of sent me down a rabbit hole of researching new pattern companies that I would love to try. So I've made a list of 12 pattern companies that are new to me, and I thought I would share them with you today. And also I've picked a pattern from each one that I would love to make initially. So often it's the pattern that has sort of drawn that company to my attention. Now, what I was wondering when I was looking through these patterns is why some of these patterns, I don't know why I haven't made them yet. They are things that I really love, where I haven't been able to find similar patterns elsewhere. And I think the thing that always puts me off is the fear of a new plus size friendly block. I think drafting can be really varied, and I'm always just a little bit nervous of trying a new brand. Especially now, I'm quite time poor at the moment. And so I just sort of want to be able to go for it. And what tends to happen is I have the intention of trying these new patterns, but when it comes down to it and there's a deadline and I don't have very long, I just think, oh, I just want to be able to make something that I know is going to work. And then I go back to my tried and tested patterns. But I have made a list separately of some of the patterns I already have that I'm going to try and prioritise this summer when I've got a length of time off work. And I'm hoping that branching out is really going to pay off and give me a bit of sojo as well. So I thought I would share these with you. Now, I will say, as mentioned before, these are new to me patterns. Some of these brands are actually quite big brands. So I think hopefully there'll be some new things in there for you, but there'll be a few where you're thinking, for goodness sake, Sarah, loads of people have made these. I've made 100 of these, but they're new to me, and I'm sure to some other people as well. So with no further ado, we are going to start with a stalwart of the plus size sewing community, and that is Muna and Broad. And they specialise in sewing patterns for people in larger sizes, and they have loads of really cool patterns. Their aesthetic, I think, is quite like, they make a lot of they wear a lot of classic shapes, but I would say it's quite trendy and very stylish. I would say there's nothing like twee about their styling at all. They have lots of really nice separates and things like that. And I've heard really, really good things about them as a brand. And obviously, because they're made with bigger bodies in mind, they take certain things that tend to happen with larger bodies, like how shapes change and things like that, and they account for those in their drafting, which is obviously really valuable. So I have a few garments of theirs I would like to make. The top of my list is I never know how to say this, the Wakere shirt and dress, which comes in, you can actually buy 3 different versions of it with like different details. So number 1 is the one I like. There's a really gorgeous sample in like a royal blue, which is the one that I keep coming back to. So I'll pop a picture of that there. I would love to make that. I mentioned it in my workwear dress video as well. But there are a few other things from Muna and Broad that I'd really like to try. They have a selection of underwear, so pants, knickers, whatever you want to call them. They have some normal briefs, and I think a thong. They've got period pants, and they have shorts, like I would call them chub rub shorts, but they're sort of like cycling shorts, but that you would wear under a dress or something. So, and again, I think they've really, rather than just grading up the sizing, they've really taken into account in all of those things, how to make them as comfortable as possible for bigger bodies. So that's something I would really, really love to try. They also have lots of nice trousers. I would say at the moment I'm most drawn towards the glebes, which I've seen a lot. I think so do Emma. She has made the glebes a few times, looks great. And yeah, they have actually loads of patterns I'd love to try. So I've just got to prioritise because I can't afford them all. But their size range is really, really good. Sorry, excuse me looking down because I've got the size ranges for things here. So their general size range currently goes from a 41.5 inch hip up to a 71.5 inch hip, which is obviously amazing. But also, if you don't fit into their size range, you can contact them and they will adapt their patterns for you to fit, which is such an amazing service. And they are one of the originals. So I also feel like they have always championed bigger bodies and I want to support that. So I think myself and Emma from So Do It Emma are going to do a little collab, a Moon and Broad collab at some point. We need to decide what we're going to do with that, but we have discussed it. So that will be coming up. And yeah, I really can't wait to try some of their patterns out. Now, next up is another quite a well-known sewing pattern brand, but I don't see loads of these patterns made up in the plus size community. And this is Megan Nielson. So Megan Nielson is a really, really popular designer, obviously. I own one of her patterns, which is the Cottesloe swimsuit in the curve range. So her range is split into the straight sizes and the curve range. And I've heard sort of mixed things about the drafting for that swimsuit. So prior to our honeymoon, I purchased several swimsuit patterns and then Cashmerette released, I can't remember what it's called, their tankini and bikini top, whose name has escaped me. I think it was one of their club patterns. And I decided to make that. And then I also made a Friday Pattern Company, the surf suit, and I felt like I didn't need any more swimsuits. The Cottesloe is like a very classic swimsuit shape, but it's actually a different pattern of theirs that I would really like to make, and it's called the Matilda dress. So I'll put a picture of it here. It's like a shirt dress, but I just feel like the features are really nice. So it's got a sort of utilitarian feel. It's got these cool like pleated pockets, buttons all the way down the front. You have options for sleeves or sleeveless. It's got a nice waistband. I just think the details on it are really nice. A bit more of an involved project, but that is one that I keep coming back to. I do always have mixed feelings about double boob pockets if you're busty. These ones are a little, on the Matilda dress, are a bit smaller. I think if you've watched my vlogs recently, I've talked a lot about the pockets on the Fabric Godmother Aspen dress, which I currently haven't added. Those pockets are a lot bigger, so I think that obviously changes how they look on a large chest. But yeah, I feel like with this dress, the pockets are quite a big part of it. But again, what I might do is make up the whole dress and then have the pockets like pinned and just decide whether or not I want them once I've got the whole dress. But I am interested to make one of these patterns. I would love to know if you have made any of the Megan Nielson patterns in the curve range. As I've said, I'm always a bit nervous about using new companies when I'm not confident of how the drafting is going to be. And that's no reflection on the companies. It's because I don't know. So it's not because I do know their drafting is not going to work. It's the fear that I might put a lot of time in and end up with something not wearable. So rather than the actual knowledge of that. So I would love to know if you have made either the Matilda or the Cottesloe or any other Megan Nielson patterns, and tell me, and the other people who'll be looking at the comments, how you got along with that. I would love to know. But yes, the Matilda dress is high up on my lust list for sewing. And the size range for this one, so it goes up to a size 34. And that is a bust of 60 inches, a waist of 52 inches, and a hip of 62 inches. So again, that's a pretty good range. Yeah, and that is the size chart, not the finished measurement chart. So pretty good. Now, next up is a company who I actually own a few patterns from, but again, haven't made. They are called Schultz Apparel. And they specialise, I would say, in very fashion-led, but very sort of feminine cottagecore style garments. Now, I have made a bag of theirs, but I still have this on, I thought I'd still put them on this list because I've never actually made a garment, and obviously all to do with the drafting and the sizing and all of this stuff, is not really relevant to making a little bag, although I did enjoy making the bag. So yeah, I think they seem a really fun company. I found it really difficult actually to pick what I would want to make. The two patterns that I own are the Ella dress, which has a sort of almost milkmaidey ruffle top, and then there are lots of different options for the skirt and sleeves. You can have off the shoulder sleeves, off the shoulder puff sleeves, on the shoulder puff sleeves. You have little straps, I think, yeah, like a halter neck strap. And I also have one called the Minna pattern, which is a more structured, like button up dress. And the other one that caught my eye today was the Norma. So I'll pop a picture of that here. So this can be a dress or it can be a two-piece. Again, it has those off the shoulder. It's got that sort of milkmaidey vibe, but I just thought very cute summery cord, or very cute as a dress. They also had another one which had sort of like a faux corset waist, like it had a band for the waist, like a thick band for the waist, and it had sort of faux corset details. So really, really pretty. They honestly have loads of patterns that are really nice. Again, a lot of the styles are sort of dependent on getting a really good fit, and I've just had the fear of committing to that. But two of these patterns were ones that I found when I was digging around, and I thought, oh, these dresses are super pretty, and I think very reflective of that sort of cottagecore style, which I do really love in the summer, and also reflective of a lot of things you would see on the high street. So yeah, I really love those. So the size range for those, the body measurements is up to a hip of 61 inches. So not bad at all. And it comes into, that's the D cup size range. There's a B cup size range and a D cup size range. And yeah, I think very reasonable as well. It's like $12, which, yeah, I think it's pretty good. So that, again, I think would just have to be a bit more involved, because I would have to twirl any of those patterns. But I do feel like the features, once I got them right, would be really worth it. And I often actually find with some of these more like fashion, especially these sort of pretty dress cottage core companies, like quite often they aren't very size inclusive. So I was very pleasantly surprised when I discovered that they have all of these gorgeous dresses and they're in a good size range. So that is great and to be encouraged. Fab. So next up, this is another, I think, a fairly well-known company, and it's a dress that I do have in my stash, and I absolutely have fallen in love with every version that I've seen. I think the drafting's pretty good, but because of the style of the dress, I think it does require a bit of time to get the fit right. So the pattern company is Just Patterns, and the dress is the Innis dress. And it's this beautiful, like, panelled dress. And honestly, I have seen people of all shapes and sizes make this dress, and every single person has looked absolutely banging. So I'll put a picture of this here. This would have again been a dream honeymoon dress, but I was just under time constraints. But yeah, I think you could make a really nice like denim version. I think linen would be lovely, like just in a block colour so that you can sort of see the style lines. I think would be really nice. I think the fitting process to this is quite interesting because it's panelled. You can do a lot of sort of fitting yourself, if you know what I mean. So fitting along the seam lines and just really making it fit your body like perfectly. So I think the end result is really amazing, but it is a bit more of an involved process. I also had a look on their website, and they have, so this version's sleeveless, but they have a sleeve extension pack which has both sort of like shorter puff sleeves and then like full length sleeves that you can add, and they also looked absolutely adorable. So this is another one that I really want to be making. The size range for this one, is up to a 57.5 inch bust, a 49 and 5/8 of an inch. That's a bit of a tongue twister, waist, and a 59 and 1/8 inch hip. So again, not a bad size range at all. Yeah, I think I think that one is really high up my list. I'm hoping to make it this summer. I do think it would be quite a nice transitional dress though, like if you made it in denim. And also, I think with all those panels, imagine it in denim with like the top stitching all the way down. Oh, it'd be so nice. Anyway, I digress. That's on my list. Now, another one I found when I was digging around in my stash, and this is another one that I purchased prior to our honeymoon, and again, I chickened out of, but I definitely want to make, and I actually have the fabric I want to make this in, which is a Liberty fabric that I purchased with a voucher that I had for Liberty. And this is by a brand called Maiden Mary. So I think Maiden Mary are a fairly new brand. And the pattern that led me to this company is the Riviera dress and corset. And so you can make this as like a little corset top, or you can make it as a full dress. And it's so pretty. It's so pretty. I've seen, where I first saw this on Tiana Herring, who is the designer for the Juniper dress. And she, I don't know if she was one of the testers or something for this, but I saw her in a version of this and I was like, oh, it looks so banging. And so I was straight on to buy it. But again, I just sort of, it was with honeymoon in mind, and then I didn't really have the time to do the fitting and stuff. So it's been languishing in my drawer since last summer. But I definitely want to make this. I just think it's beautiful. And what I love in the dress version, it's sort of got like the straight panel down the centre of the skirt, and then those sort of like gathered panels at the side. So you get this really sort of satisfying silhouette where you get the extra volume, but you don't get loads of extra volume out the front, which I just love. I love the look of this pattern. Like, I just need to sit down, just get on with it. I actually think it might be quite good just to make the corset top first, because obviously that's the majority of the fitting issues. So I might make like a sort of toile or wearable toile of just the corset top, then make it in my Liberty fabric, and then make a whole dress. So we've got a process here. But yeah, just beautiful, beautiful pattern. And again, I think it's another example of, it's quite a sort of fashion forward, but also cottagecore, one of those really popular silhouettes where, again, often I'll look and they are not size inclusive. So I was just thrilled to see the size range. And this goes from a 00 up to a size 36. And the size 36 has a hip, it goes up to a hip of 67 inches, which again is absolutely great. So yes, I mean, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's just beautiful. Here's another dress. These are all patterns that I have and I just haven't made. Pretty dress patterns that I've fallen in love with and then not done anything about. So this is a company called The Bold One. I have a feeling that when I bought this pattern, the brand had a different name, but I can't remember what that was. But it took me a while to find them, but the designer is the same person, the picture all the same. So I think this was their first pattern, so I think they've just rebranded. So they are a New Zealand based company. They have like a handful of patterns, all in a good size range. And the one that I purchased a while ago is called the Gracie Wrap pattern. So this comes as like a dress or as like a blouse. It's got this really nice big waist wrap detail, nice big sleeves. And I just think is super cute. As I said, the company's quite new, so they don't have loads of patterns, but this is the pattern that sort of drew me towards them. Again, I don't know about the drafting. I've not tried it, and I've not seen that I can remember any plus size versions. I've not really gone hunting, but you know, sometimes there are certain patterns that you see coming up on people you follow a lot. And this one I haven't, but every time I see it, I'm like, oh, that is so pretty. And again, I do remember in the blurb that comes with the pattern, she says she encourages you to use natural fibres. So that's obviously like an ethos of the brand. And yeah, I just think gorgeous, gorgeous dress. So, or top. And I think this pattern is currently on sale. So if you're watching this video, when I post it, it's worth having a look and seeing if you can get it discounted if you like the look of it. And this goes up to a size 30, which has a 60.2 inch hip, which I also think is pretty decent. And it comes in 2 cup sizes. I think it's A to C and then a D cup. So, or a D plus cup. So yeah, again, another really gorgeous dress that has been sitting languishing in my drawer while I make the same 3 patterns over and over again, because I am unimaginative. So the next one is a really big brand, and I actually cannot believe I haven't made this, because everyone I know in the curvy coven raves over this, and this is Chalk and Notch. Chalk and Notch are a really great size inclusive brand. They've got absolutely loads of patterns. The one that keeps coming up and that I have come back to quite a few times is the Shea dress. I'll put a picture here. I probably don't have to tell you much about it, because this is a really, really popular pattern and a really popular company. So I don't know why I've been so slow. I'm sorry, everybody. It goes up to a size 30, which is up to a 59-inch hip. I suspect that the top size would fit bigger than that, because looks like it's got quite a lot of give in the skirt. And another quite big brand who comes up a lot, but for some reason I hadn't registered they were size inclusive until a few days ago, is Tammy Handmade. Tammy has loads of really cute patterns, and I was there are lots of nice dress patterns, but I thought I'd pick something a bit different. So I went with the Rani skirt, and the thing that drew me towards this is I think it's got a sort of slight utility vibe, and I think it will be a nice skirt that you could wear like dressed down. A lot of my skirts are like not like that, so I really sort of like the look of this, that it was a bit more of like a day-to-day look rather than necessarily a formal look. And it's not a design, although it's quite a simple silhouette, it's not a skirt that I've seen like in lots of places in terms of pattern designers. And I like the slit in the longer skirt. And yeah, I just liked it. I thought it would add to my wardrobe, something I don't have. And this one goes up to a size 32, which is a 60-inch hip. Oh, and I also like the Margot Pinafore. I thought that looked cute. I have seen a few of those kicking around. I think that would be like a nice autumn make. You can either do the square neck, which I do love a square neck, or there's like a deep V. Very nice. Next up is a brand called Christine Hayes. And there is one pattern that I keep coming across of theirs that I've wanted to make, and it's not really like anything else that I've spoken about so far. It is the June tank and brief set. So I'll put a picture here. I love that the main model for this is like curvy and busty, because I mean, I don't look like this, but it gives me a better idea of how that garment might look on me. And again, I just think really, really good basics. I think the neckline's cool and really nice. I like the styling. I think it looks kind of modern. And I just always think if they use a curve model like at the front of the range, it just gives me hope that they've really thought about like that part of their possible client base. So yes, so they've got lots of nice patterns on there, but that is the one that keeps drawing back to them. So that's Christine Hayes. And the sizing for that, goes up to a 58-inch hip. So that's a 4X. So it goes from XS to 4X. Another one that I purchased recently from a different brand is So Different. So this again is quite a popular brand. I actually wasn't aware of their size range. So some of these brands I haven't really explored because I just hadn't realised that they did like a curve plus size range. The Aya pleat dress is the one that I already have, and is what drew me towards them. I saw someone wearing a really gorgeous version on the catwalk at the Stitch Festival, and so I purchased that, and I have quite a few fabrics that I think would look great in that, so I'm definitely going to make one of those soon. But also on their website, I've been drawn towards something called the Kahlo tabard, which I presume is named after Frida Kahlo, and I just think it's got really cool features. It's one where it buttons like it's a tabard, and then it buttons, the back bit buttons to the front bit, and then you have ties that go around the waist. And again, it gives this slightly like utility, I'm a cool art teacher vibe. Again, I just think not a silhouette that I've seen in lots of other places. I get very drawn towards, as I've said cottagecore about 300 times today, but in the summer, I get drawn towards that vibe. And sometimes I feel like, oh, I've just fallen in love with the same dress 10 times. And this one, I was like, I've not really seen that anywhere else. And again, it's got lots of nice little details. I think it'll be fun to sew. So I'm going to see how I get on with the pleat dress. And then if I'm happy, then I think I'll give the tabard a go. Again, maybe for autumn, like a nice layering number. And I could only find a finished garment measurement on their website, and that went up to a hip of 188 centimeters, which I think was about 72 inches. So obviously it depends how much ease you want in the garment. Yeah, so if you had a 60-inch hip, that would give you 12 inches of ease, which is not bad, depending on what you're making. So that's that. And then another brand that I think is quite popular, although when I looked, they only have a few patterns, so I think maybe quite new in the pattern space, is Izzosew Studios. And the thing that drew me towards them was actually, I was sort of aware of them, but it was Tamlin from Sewn on the Tyne made this top, and someone in the comments had been slagging it off. And I was like, I love this top. And I think everyone loved the top. So, yeah, gorgeous. Honestly, I saw this top and I was like, that top is gorgeous. Why would anyone be complaining about the sleeves, which is the coolest part? So the pattern that drew me towards them is called the Tansen top. And it's for jersey. I also think you can maybe make it in like a French terry or a sweatshirting to have like a cool jumper. And it has this, it's like a normal jumper, and then it's got this sort of like, I think it's shirred detail on the sleeves, and then like a little like voluminous sleeve from the elbow. I just think a really nice, it's like an elevated basic. I feel like I could make one and the detail gives it sort of a lift, so I could get away with wearing it to work when it's actually just super cozy. So yes, that's what I was drawn towards there. I just thought really nice. I also loved the website, was really comprehensive and detailed, and had lots of pictures on like different bodies and different colours, and I just really appreciated the effort that had gone into that. So I definitely am going to make this top, definitely. It goes up to a size 34, which is, and it has 2 cup sizes. So in the B cup, it goes up to 58 inches. In the D cup, it's up to 60-inch bust. The waist up to 54.5, and the hip up to 63.5. So again, I think a pretty good size range, and I cannot wait to make that. Now, last up, my 12th company is called I can't, it's French. Les Perlines, Les Perlines, depending on how you want to say it. And I have been admiring these patterns for ages. I have one of them. And again, I had to sort of screenshot a few different ones because I couldn't pick which one was my favourite. But this, again, is quite a fashion forward, like quite youthful styling, I would say. And yeah, I'd say good attention to the curve end of the size range. And the dresses, so one of the dresses that I really love is the Sundays dress. This is the first one of their patterns that I was aware of. It's got a very like 90s vibe. Again, it has that gathered bust. I feel like I've had a bit of a theme of the gathered milkmaid bust. But the silhouette, I'd say, is very like 90s slip dress, which I really love. So that's here. They also have some cool trousers, which are called the East Side pants, which are sort of like combat trousers, I guess. But again, I just think the fit of them looks really cool, and they're not too oversized, so they seem to be, so they don't look too like costumey, if you know what I mean. So I thought these looked really cool. I don't think I'm cool enough to wear these, I'm going to be honest, but I would love to be cool enough to wear them. And maybe if I just have a think about styling, I could work out how to be cool enough to wear them. I don't know. But yes, I just thought they looked really nice, and I loved how they were styled on the model. And then the last one is the Heatwaves dress. Again, I feel like a bit of 90s influence. I think all of these have a 90s vibe. And I think, again, you can make this really summery, or you could make it in a bit more of a transitional way. Like the denim in the sample is a bit more transitional, but you could also wear it in high summer. So that goes up to the sizing is in letters, so it goes up to a size O, which is a 55.25 inch bust, a 48 7/8 inch waist, and a 60.25 inch hip. So again, a nice size range, and I'm actually a bit spoiled for choice. I don't know which ones I'm going to make up there. Do let me know if there are any brands there that you particularly like the look of, or if there are any that you've already made up that you have opinions on. Were they really nice to sew? Were the instructions good? How was the drafting? All of these things I would absolutely love to know, and I'm sure everyone else would as well. Have you got any brands that are new to you that you'd love to sew up? Have you got any really big brands that you've never sewn up before that are on your list? I feel like with Chalk and Notch, I just feel awful. And Moon and Broad as well. I just think, how have I not sewn those up? I don't know. But yeah, I also think there are quite a few like more interesting ones. I also think it's nice that there are quite different styles in there of things you can make that are in a decent size range. So I think that's very encouraging. But I'm always looking for new brands. I can lust after patterns much quicker than I can sew them up, but it's still nice to have a look and imagine future garments. So yeah, please do let me know if there are any brands, like maybe lesser known brands as well, that you might know that you think I might not know yet. Then please let me know below and I'll take a look. Thanks as always for tuning in and watching. I hope that you are having a really good weekend and I look forward to seeing you next time. All right, take care. Bye.